and she joins us on the line. Where are you at the moment, Lisa? You're on the way to Awapuni, you're still home?
No, I've left Aiden. I'm sitting at Viv's kitchen and ordered a coffee, so... Yep.
Just getting your last little bits of speed maps and things done?
Yes, I've done all of that, so all prepared and ready to go.
Okay, yeah, we've heard from Stephen Hunt this morning. There's a lot of money on iGrain, who's trimmed up even further from the hot 185 opening price. Looks like a really good way of opening up your day, Lisa.
It is. Obviously, she's a really nice horse, and the speed map's quite tricky considering because just a small field and that, and obviously coming back to a slow 8. These horses haven't raced on a decent track for a while, so could be a little bit tricky, but I've got a good barrier draw, so we'll just trust in that and get her to relax and hopefully strong enough.
Exactly. Being a 6-horse field, it's going to be a really tactical affair. You know Hamiltonian well from being the regular rider there. You know I Tell You One Thing well from being the regular rider there. How are you going to play it tactically here?
Yeah, it's going to be, it will be a bit tricky. I don't know whether it's been publicised that Hamiltonian had a jump out on Monday morning after his display on Saturday at Wanganui. He really went terrible and pretty much refused out of the barriers again. So we took the blinkers off him. I actually went in and rode him myself and took the blinkers off, and he jumped away beautifully, so there was no problem. So he's having the blinkers off today, but he's the sort of horse that when he doesn't have blinkers on, he can pull quite hard. So, the speed map actually has him up there and me back behind him. So it will be an interesting race, but hopefully if my horse just relaxes, we'll finish over the top of them.
My speed map's completely opposite to yours, Lisa. You have to get on the phone and sort this out for sure. Let's move you on to the feature, which is the Boehringer Ingelheim 1550, and you've picked up the ride on Des here. Obviously, the talking point is that you've had rides on New York Minute, rides on Rosewood. I think you're unbeaten in 4 on Rosewood. I think you're 7 from 10 or something similar on New York Minute. How hard was it in making the decision to go with Des?
Well, I'm just telling everyone I left the final decision to you, Aidan, so we're just putting it all back on you today. It was a tough decision, and you know how many times we rang and spoke about this, and all 3 are very, very good horses. New York Minutes, obviously, I've won plenty of races on her, but I do believe she's a genuine wet tracker, and she just loves the mud. Little Rosewood, she's lovely, but she sort of might be coming to the end of it now, and with the tracks improving, I can just probably see her getting too far out of the ground. And a big horse like Des, he's got plenty of scope. He can race up there on those wetter tracks, so hoping that, with the way the track is today and just the way I saw the race mapping out, that it could actually perhaps be midfield and just getting him tracking along nicely, and hopefully there'll be enough speed in the race just to sort of keep him interested and not pulling too hard, and that way he'll relax and hopefully not hang.
Yeah, we're going back and just having a look, Lisa, at that Winter Classic win of his. He was very good in the Winter Cup the start before. In those 2 runs, what's he showing you?
Yeah, well, he's a difficult horse in the fact that he's got big, long legs, and he just doesn't... I think he just gets a bit ahead of himself, and he sort of can over-race. And when he starts doing that, he starts hanging, and he's just the sort of horse that you just got to get into a nice rhythm and just get him to relax. And I think once he's balanced, he'll hit the line really well, and that's exactly what happened in the Winter Classic last start. I was all prepared to ride him left-handed up the straight, and I'm obviously not as strong on my left as my right, and I was just hoping that I'd be strong enough that day. But when he came through on the inside, I switched back to the right, and he didn't hang at all. He went straight, and he was beautiful. So I'm hoping that's what's going to happen again today.
Yeah, he's won 5 from 10. How progressive is he? I know he's a 7-year-old now, but what's ahead of him?
Well, yeah, and this is part of the reason why I've stuck with him today. Is I think he's a genuine Cup horse, and he's the sort of horse that could perhaps get a New Zealand Cup. He's a genuine. He does. Yeah, I think that he's going to be a genuine stayer. So that's the feeling that he's giving me. And I think, part of his problem, why he hangs and things, is because he's just not been comfortable on those tracks so far. So I think once he gets into a rhythm, hopefully he'll be able to get away from all of that and get over a bit more ground, and he'll relax and run home.
Okay, nigh on a full book for you at Awapuni today, Lisa. Rides such as Cornerstone, Sea Stars, Quaff, who was a good last start, winner of the year, who was placed last time out, and Sky High Ratu, who's got that tricky little barrier draw. What's the next horse that you're most looking forward to riding?
Oh, definitely Sea Star. He's one of my favourites. He's been a horse that's just been so good to me. I ride him pretty much every day. I'll go into the track and ride him for Rosie, and he's a horse that got me going when I came back from my injury. He's just so lovely to ride. He toodles around at the track every day and so kind, and he's just been working the house down at the moment, so I'm really excited about him. Comes into a good barrier draw in 3. The 1300 may be a bit short now that the track's improved, but I think that he will really enjoy the better track and get home well.
Yeah, we're just seeing being a look at this last start run for third. It was a really nice performance, but we're seeing here Bowden dominating at 261.25 after a good last start, second on Premier Day at Hastings. How competitive do you think Sea Star will be with him?
Yeah, that's a toughie because they raced against each other first up this campaign. I was suspended, I think, that day, and Jasmine Fawcett rode Sea Star, and Chris beat her on Bowden. So. But Sea Star was fresh up that day. He's had a few runs under his belt now, so I'm confident. His work was extra on Tuesday.
Great stuff. I really appreciate you joining us here on the Punters Lounge Live, Lisa. Thanks for giving us your time. Hopefully your coffee hasn't gone cold, and best of luck today.
Thanks, Aidan. Take care.
Lisa Allpress here on the Punters Lounge Live.